What's up, traders? Welcome. Happy Monday. My name is Austin Silver. It's good to be with you. If you're new to the streams, please make sure you subscribe here to the Eightcap YouTube channel. They bring a ton of amazing traders on. I'm very able to share my analysis with you guys. We've had some really strong trade calls together. So we're going to jump into that today. We're going to set ourselves up for a really, really strong week. The first thing we're going to look at this morning is Bitcoin. The key level set back here in June of 7. But now with this whole FTX scandal unraveling over the last week or so, we've seen Bitcoin drop from about 21,500 down 30% to about 15,400. Tested that zone at 17,500 to dropping again, sitting this morning at 16,700. So Bitcoin for me now, with this whole scandal kind of unraveling, like I said, and with the higher time frames now moving into this downtrend, breaking out to the downside, I'm definitely going to be short biased this week on the lower time frames looking for Bitcoin trades. This morning, we've seen some volatility on Bitcoin. If you look here on the 15-minute, we exploded to the upside here overnight at about 1:30, 1:45 Eastern. That move carried, but recently in the last 30 minutes, we've seen this thing come back down. Notice the level that it comes back down off of is near that zone at 17,500. Over the weekend, it was pretty quiet, but more bearish. So now seeing that pullback is kind of anticipated. I think why I'm more short biased than long biased isn't just technically driven, it's fundamentally driven. With everything going on, I think we're going to see potentially more companies have liquidity problems with crypto, and that's going to really bring fear onto the forefront of the conversation when it comes to investing in crypto. And that's pushing a lot of people, specifically like Kevin O'Leary, these big investors, they're going to go push for regulation on cryptocurrency. And what does that do for Bitcoin? It's very hard to say. But in the short term, I like the shorts more than I like the longs. Now, if we turn over to the indices, it's a little bit of a different story. We had a really strong Thursday and Friday, so a really strong close to the week. US 500, this is S&P 500, broke above the zone that we resisted earlier in the week and the previous week at 38.90, 38.80. Seeing that we are now above that zone and seeing that the 8 EMA is above the 21 EMA, it's really hard to just go full bear right now and think it's got to come down. Now, if we look specifically to Forex Factory, which is where I love to go for my news, you can see there's not a lot of high impact news for the dollar today at all. Really, this week, there's not a lot of high impact news for the US dollar. Tomorrow, we have PPI, which is important. And then on Wednesday, we have retail sales, which is important, but not like CPI or FOMC. It's nothing like life changing like those events. So that's why I could definitely see this week showing more movement to the upside. Now that we've broken out, I don't want to come in here on Monday and just start calling for shorts. If we open today bearish and we see heavy selling coming in and we start to see this thing get back under 3,900, then I think it might make a case to get more bearish. But if we're over 3,900, I think it's more pressing, more reactionary to be bullish than bearish. So now that's very interesting, right? Because we're seeing a separation between the way Bitcoin might move and the way the indices might move, which has not been the case in the past. Often over the last couple of months, Bitcoin and the indices move together. If we look at NASDAQ probably looks the most bearish out of all three indices. As you can see, we're back at the zone at like 11,700. We'll see how this week wants to go. But look, the 8 EMA just crossed over the 21. We've got a clear support down here at 10,000. You want to always ask yourself, is the bottom in? Is the bottom in? I don't love that question because it makes you forecast too much. I like, what is it telling me to do right now? It just broke out to the upside. I'd anticipate some type of a retest. But if we hold the 8 above the 21, if we hold 11,250, it's probably going to be more bullish than bearish this week. So that's why NASDAQ, US 500, and then especially US 30, they do look like they could continue to head higher. At the same time, if you, again, we're looking at a daily chart. If you look at what this normally does in a bear market since the start of the year up here, it drops, but it pulls back. It drops, it always pulls back. It will always pull back. It will always pull back. Are we at the point now where if we just drew like a simple trend line, again, this is on the daily time frame, but if we draw a simple little line from the top, are we just resisting this line here in some type of like a different format, right? Where we're still forming this downward triangle, but maybe it's getting wider, or did we break out to the upside? It's really, in my opinion, it's tough place to make that call. But with the 8 over the 21, again here, I'd be more bullish than bearish right now on the indices. So Bitcoin bearish, indices bullish. That's the bias that I have going into the week. Now, silver, this has been a great call for us, right? We've been working on this together since the start of the month. Silver looks great at 2164. We touched 22 last week. I told you guys we could see 22.5 within the next couple of weeks. The strong breakout here back at the end of September gave the idea that there was bullish momentum in it. Once the low was held with another retest and we broke out for another new high over 21, it's very clear that there's more bullish momentum in this than bearish momentum. The retest could come back to 21 flat. I don't really see it coming back into the 20s right now, but as long as it stays out of 20, I would stay very bullish on silver. Oil, to start the week this week, it's got a bearish candle. We are making lower highs and lower lows. I am more bearish on oil than anything else in the commodity space, but that's because of the war and the fundamentals that we have going on with oil. So oil's a little bit tougher of a read too. It's not my favorite commodity to look at. Gold looks really strong. Triple bottom down here at 1625. If we zoom out and let's go to a weekly time frame, you can see like, of course, this is a great level to be looking at longs from, because if you go back, it's not just slowing randomly here. It's the same price it slowed down at back in 2020 right here. See where it struggled, came down, then it broke out and used it as support, used it as support, used it as support. Now that we've just used it as support again, yeah, I would say you would want to be more bullish than bearish if 1650, 1644-ish holds. If we hold those prices, gold probably goes higher following silver, because commodities will continue to move up with inflation still being something that people are looking towards, So I'm looking at bullish momentum on gold and on silver. Oil, I could definitely see oil coming down, really. I think with it being, look, on a downshift now on the weekly time frame, coming off the 21, you could definitely see more movement lower. This will be an important week for oil for sure. My favorite out of all of those is probably the weekly bar on Bitcoin. This is the only weekly chart we have not looked at. Such a strong bar coming off that 8 EMA tells me, and with the TDI and the position that it's in, under the market sentiment line down here near 33, tells me we could definitely see more bearish momentum here. This does not look like a chart you'd want to be buying, if that makes any sense, right? So short term, I like Bitcoin to the downside. I like the indices to the upside, I think. Little more indecisive on the indices than anything else. So far to start the week, as you can see, they haven't even moved. Pre-market this morning has not done anything for the indices. We'll probably just have to wait and see how the New York market opens at 9:30 this morning. Monday is my least traded day. I track all of my days of the week that I trade. I track all of the times of day. Monday, since July, I've only had 7 trades on Monday. So for me, Monday is normally a day where I want to see the market open, see how things build, and then I kind of come in and attack the week from there. I want to take a look with you guys at the daily time frame on a few Forex pairs as well. GU with the 8 above the 21 breaking out over the last couple of days. We'll see if this wants to extend more bullish momentum into it this week. If you look at some of these GBP pairs, like for example, GJ, that's in a downshift. GN, that's in a downshift. 8's under the 21. It looks bearish. GCAD is in an upshift, but that's influenced by CAD. So GU is in an interesting spot as well. Is it going to follow GN and GJ and maybe come lower? Or is it going to catch that GCAD momentum and still try to rise? I think we have to be watching the GBP news this week to get an idea for that, because there is CPI news on the pound this week. There's also monetary policy report meetings on Wednesday this week. So it's definitely, I would say, a more important week for the pound than it is for the dollar. If you look at some of these yen pairs like EJ or GJ, you can see they look pretty bullish, especially, of course, everybody knows USD JPY. Still, even though it's pulled back to 140, 140 is probably going to be a great buy price long term, because we're probably headed back up towards 150 in a longer time frame, not on the shorter time frame. So for now, let's keep an eye on the dollar, right? The dollar index has finally come down after just months and months of straight rise. We finally seem to have hit a little bit of a peak and now been able to show some resistance to it at, what is that, 115 almost, 140, 114.77. We're down 8%, 7.5% off that high. So with that moving lower and that looking like it wants to come down, you could take to Euro USD and see us finally bouncing off that 1.00 price level. We held below it for a fair chunk of time in October and November, but now that we're pushing out mid-November, it looks like it's going to try to use 1.0 as support and come higher. Let's take a look at the monthly chart on that. Look at all the months of drop on Euro USD as the dollar has just been gaining strength. So if inflation comes down, maybe the dollar comes down a little bit, money goes back into the indices, and that brings Euro USD higher as well. A lot of correlation that you can use there, but no correlation works 100% of the time. So just keep that in mind. This chart looks terrible. Monthly chart on Bitcoin just looks terrible. Don't look at that. If you're a Bitcoin guy, don't look at that. And then on the shorter term today for the indices, if you guys are looking for ideas to go Monday, Tuesday, and then into our weekly meeting on Wednesday, I definitely would be bullish if we're above, like I said, 11,600 is NASDAQ, the level I'm looking at. US 30, I mean, if we can hold Friday's low, 33,400, that would be fantastic. And then US 500, if we hold the same type of zone here, 39.20, 39.40, if we hold there, it's probably going to be bullish. But on the cards this week, in my opinion, is also sideways movement. Without a lot of USD news to drive markets in one direction, I think a lot of people are unsure. Are we at the end of a bull rally here? Are we getting close to the end? We're up 14%. They normally don't go much further than this. So if we are at the end of a bull rally, you might have people come in and try to short this week because, overall, we're still in a bearish market. Fed's still going to raise interest rates 0.5% next month. That's what people are still thinking about. So if it did move lower or sideways and lower this week on the indices, would not surprise me. Without any major news to look forward to, and with us kind of being in this area of no man's land, right, where we just broke out and we know breakouts tend to retest, I like to just see how the week starts, how the week builds, and then make a really good decision from there. Beyond that, Dogecoin's up today. So crypto getting a little bit of a pump today since Bitcoin is moving up 2%. I just don't see Bitcoin bouncing and coming right back into this zone very easily. I see it finding resistance at 17,500 and coming lower. That seems to be one of the easier trades for us. Some type of a retest, even if it comes up to 18,000, some type of a retest here and then a short out of that zone would be a great swing trade. So that's Bitcoin, that's commodities, that's indices, and that's the Forex pairs. It doesn't seem like we have any questions from you guys in the live this morning. I did those pairs that you guys asked me to do from Instagram. So make sure you're following the Eightcap Instagram account. They're going to set you guys up with some great information every single day. They're sharing great content. That's very important to be following. But also, like I said at the beginning, make sure you're subscribed here so you don't miss any of my future live streams. I don't want you to miss the future streamers that they bring on. There's a ton of value here from Eightcap. So make sure you guys subscribe. And this week, I'm going to leave you with this. Bitcoin to the downside is the move that we're looking for. Indices, either sideways or up. We want to ride the trend, not forecast the drop. If it does want to come down and then the 8 and 21 cross back down, great. We'll get short biased again and we'll look for shorts. But for now, I would say you got to stay bullish on the indices and still bullish silver, bullish gold, and probably bearish oil. If one commodity I had to pick to be bearish, I could see oil coming back down towards 85, 84 in the next couple of days. Would not surprise me. So commodities, a mixed bag. Crypto, bearish. Indices, bullish. That's the bias that I'm going to leave you guys with. We'll be back on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I will be streaming on a webinar. Make sure you guys register for that. We'll link in the description to this video. You guys can sign up. That won't be on YouTube. That's a special webinar just for you guys. We want you there, subscribed for that information. Paul said, what about GJ? Paul, with GJ, like I said, we're at a point here where we could definitely see this JPY pair find some support and start to come higher if the dollar wants to continue to head lower. Cool? Awesome. Well, I appreciate you all being here. Have a great trading week. Hopefully, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Make sure you're subscribed here on the 8cap channel. And thank you again for your time.